Hey everybody, happy Monday night. Today is April 24th, 2023. This is Across the Pitch. I am Mike Barrera, and of course, we are joined by Dave Miller and Jose Nunez. Dave, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, it's Monday night. We're only a couple of nights away from the big game. I think a lot of us will probably say not season defining, but I mean, it will go a long way to showing how how the expectations of the season will go in terms of, are we aiming for a double? Are we aiming for a treble? Are we aiming to, win just one trophy? Who knows? But I mean, it's gonna be a big Wednesday night.
Absolutely. Jose, how are you? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, Mike. I think maybe I'll take the cynic the cynic route here and be a little cynical and say this is probably the biggest game of the season and potentially the biggest game we'll play all season. Hopefully not, but LAFC at home, kickoff 9 p.m. with Mike and six other guys. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I love my CONCACAF experience so far, and then you throw in six great friends, eight total, and my God, we have an evening ahead of us. So I am so excited to be with everybody on Wednesday, but we obviously have to recap Saturday as well.
Yes. So last time we went to the game, it was a great time. As you guys, if you heard from 2 episodes prior, my voice got shot. I fully expect to not be able to speak on Thursday morning. I'm fine with that. All my coworkers know don't talk to me Thursday. So it's going to be a good time. I know, Jose, we're going to be back in 140. So very excited to be with the Keystone Ultras again to just celebrate for the entire time. I know a lot of people will be see me at the tailgate, so if you get there early enough, I should be leaving my house in South Jersey around 5:40. So expect to see me around 6:30. If you see me, say hello, grab a sticker that we've been giving out lately, have some beers, and Jose, I would promise I won't forget the beers this time. Because last time we met in the parking lot afterwards, and we just lost Dave, and he's like, well. When you're like, where's the beer? I'm like, I forgot the beer. I thank you for bringing the cigars, but I forgot the beer. Um,
No, it's okay, man. No, it's okay. I am genuinely so excited for this Wednesday. In fact, two of the guys that are coming along with us, and I swear we'll get on maybe buying some time for Dave to get back from across the pond. But
Oh,
two of the guys that are coming along are probably so annoyed from listening to me about this because I've been clamoring for this game on Wednesday again. A 9 p.m. kickoff. That is so exciting. So
I like
exciting.
it. I'm
It's
okay with it.
awesome.
It's good
Yes.
because it gives me time to get back from work. I'm not rushing out of the house to get to a 7 o'clock game, 7:30 game, so I can't complain. Um, but before we get to LAFC, of course, we have to talk about the Toronto match. It was a game that we were very surprised by, and I don't just mean the three of us. I think collectively, as a unit or as a fan base, rather, all of us were surprised by the 4-2 beatdown of the Toronto FC opponent. So, Dave, I'll go to you first. What were your thoughts on the lineup for one that we saw, and then what were your thoughts on the match itself?
okay, so in terms of the lineup, I think again, I think we were all quite shocked to see a full strength team. Perhaps, with the schedule coming up, I think we literally just highlighted it before we jumped on the show that there is no game next weekend. So perhaps Jim's looked at it and thought, you played the double whammy, then you got a full week off and everyone could be fully rested. I mean, again, at this sort of level, at the elite level, your players are expected to be able to go, Saturday, Tuesday, and well, Saturday, Wednesday, or Sunday, Wednesday, whatever the schedule sort of aligns. So perhaps Jim's putting that pressure on his squad to, deliver in the league and then playing the exact same team to go out and deliver on Wednesday night. So I was a bit shocked to see there weren't many changes made, but I could understand why the lineup was done, having obviously looked at the schedule.
Mhm.
The game, admittedly, I had a very busy Saturday, so I got, so I fell asleep at halftime. I just like just don't know the word is like I don't know, knocked out at halftime and then woke up literally as the full time whistle went to like 4-2 on my screen. I was like, oh damn. So I mean, going off, and I've seen the highlights and everything, but looking at the first half, it was just night. It was just night and day in comparison to the rest
Yeah,
of the season. Like, I mean, again, a bit of fortune, two very fortunate goals in the first half. I think we'll all admit that. But I think again, it was just the way that Union played. It was I don't want to say completely like last year in terms of the before like start of play, but it was just so much more positive. Players looking to get on the ball, looking to create. Like even Nate Harriel's the Gazdag goal that got disallowed. It was good play from Uar dropping deep, playing the ball out wide, and Harry putting the cross in towards Gazdag at the front post. That's stuff we haven't seen this season, not often enough this season. And it's players, perhaps gaining confidence after the Chicago game last week. Daniel getting a goal, and an assist, and Julian Carranza, scoring. And now this week again, all the front three all linked up together. They all created. They all involved in the game, of course. Carranza and Gazdag both got assists. Mikhail scored a hat trick, and again, I think it was just a perfect storm heading to what will be obviously the most important game of this. Well, as I said, one of the most important games of the season.
Absolutely.
So again, it's a great confidence boost for the team, and if they can take that into the game on Wednesday, I mean, they've got every chance of getting a really good result.
Absolutely. Jose, how about you? I mean, what were your thoughts on the whole thing?
It's so shocked from the get-go, right? And in hindsight, Jim looks like a genius, right, for what he put out and what we got out of it. So whether you agree with it or you don't, you have to respect the man for being stubborn and stuck in his ways, right? But those 11 players that were out there, in my head, I thought, all right, we're going with the A lineup. Maybe you could make the argument that actually after watching the last two games, there's no argument to be made. And Mbaizo is the top man at that position. So let's just get that out of the way. So the only position that was sort of a B level lineup, part of a B level lineup would have been Nate Harriel. Nothing against him, and happy birthday to him today as I talk smack at him. But Jim went ahead and said, all right, guys, let's get some confidence. And confidence did he get, right? From the get-go, I had some family over. I wasn't able to be at the stadium, but my first comment to my wife's cousin was, this is going to be sloppy. This is going to be fun. And I think there's going to be a lot of mistakes made. But where the Union made no mistakes was in their press, and
Right.
having the field be part of the press as well, especially when passes are slick and passes are maybe 25-35% faster because of the surfaces. You put a press with a Julian Carranza, a Mikel Ua, and a Gazdag, but also having the next level of players, as in the midfield, also being there to get a coughed up pass or maybe just a deflection, and there goes a counterattack. What's exactly what happened. Never mind the effort, as Dave mentioned, of Julian Carranza to just go at, is it Sean Johnson, right? Yeah.
Sean Johnson.
Yeah. I hate to say, I just call him the bug-eyed guy, but go at Sean Johnson. And honestly, not necessarily, I don't want to say bully him, but in reality, just getting in his way and
Yeah.
not being afraid of a goalkeeper. Never mind a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers typically getting that call to their favor was just admirable. So all around, bravo to that lineup. Maybe Jim heard us and put Perea in, albeit for 2 minutes or whatever it was, 3 minutes. I can't even recall
It
at
was
this
about
point.
maybe 6 at the most, at the very most.
It was just comical at that point. But ultimately, I think this is a team with some confidence going into, again, maybe I'm being cynical, maybe I'm being overreactive, but I think a season-defining game, only a quarter into the MLS season. But if CCL is what we're shooting for, and I think that's what makes sense considering the position we're in, this is what we got to do. So I'm really eager to see what happens on Wednesday, but I don't see a lineup that's far too different outside of that one position going into the starting lineup for Wednesday. But we'll talk more about that. Mike, your thoughts about the game?
Well, I was shocked by the lineup. I mean, when we placed our bets, weekly bet the boys in blue lineup that we put out every single match day for the MLS at least. All of us thought 1-0. Dave thought it was 0-0. I mean, I was going to go with a 1-1 draw. So we all thought it was going to be a low scoring game. Yes, partially because Toronto has been drawing as much as possible. 2, because the field was probably going to be very wet. And 3, because we thought it was going to be a Chris Donovan and Torres style. I even my buddy Max, my buddy Maxwell Smart, he does very, very good college basketball betting, and he does a couple of the sports. But he follows a Union. He follows MLS, specifically the Union. He has been since last year, and he says like, whoa, why didn't you tell me they were playing so well? I was like, I didn't know this was going to happen. Like I usually last year I was like, yeah, book the over and they're just going to crush it. No, I was like, I have no idea that this was going to happen. But to kind of give details on the lineup, we had Jack McGlynn in the lineup on the left. We know because Leon Flock is still coming off that hip injury. He was, however, in the bench, and he did make an appearance off the bench. So I guess the injections are doing well, from what we see. Um, the biggest news, of course, as you mentioned, Jose Olivier Mbazo, he did not play at all, nor did he make the bench. And I know Jim Curtin mentioned in the press conference after the game, hey, listen, he's still nursing a little bit of a hamstring injury. They want to keep him fresh for obviously Wednesday. So Nathan Harriel, to your point of what you mentioned, Jose, Jim Curtin mentioned in the press conference when asked about Nathan. Hey, he's a great kid. He's still developing, but he's still very much a kid, a teenager. No, not a teenager, a young adult, I should say. And he's going to have those mistakes. And as you saw, Insigne just basically beat him through the back door. And listen, and he made a basketball reference, which I appreciated very much. Right, he had a little backdoor cut to beat him. So Nathan has now had two miscues on a couple goals. Now, granted, I do take some of blame for Jack Elliott on the Chicago Fire first goal because he probably could have cleared it out sooner. But besides the point, I think Nathan has had a couple iffy moments recently. So really want to see Olivier, and nothing to a knock on Nathan. I just think Olivier is playing at a higher level as of last year into this year, obviously. So 4-2 was the final score there. But Michael Ua was the real story of the match. Dave, I know you've been calling for Michael to score now for what? It's almost every single week we've done these, bet the boys in blue. So,
Yes.
Michael Ua, your man, what was your thoughts on that?
I mean, again, I was glad to see him score. I think again last week we saw all the front three have contributions for goals.
Oh
Even
wait,
if
Dave, you noticed the shirt, right?
yeah, I did. I saw the income. I love it. I love it.
I just got in
Love
the
the
mail.
Jills.
There you go, man.
I
I got
love it,
you
man.
support the Philly team, so I
Represent,
figured I gotta support my boys from out across the pond. But go ahead.
represent. Um, but again, we saw last week in the game against Chicago. I mean, again, all three of the front men were involved with the goals. Okay, and people were upset that perhaps McKenna didn't, produce as much as they would have liked him to Chicago, but he won the penalty, which kicks out the comeback. Obviously, Gazdag scored. Gazdag set up Carranza. So everyone played their part last week, and it was the exact same again this week as Jose sort of alluded to. With the first goal, great persistence and great effort from Carranza to carry on going and actually battle with Johnson to win the 50-50 ball, which which keepers, as Jose sort of going to, goalkeepers always get the benefit of the doubt in the situations, and it was great to see Carranza battle it and essentially create the first goal, and then the absolute comical howler of the goal was like,
Yeah.
cause at the time I was watching the game on my phone, I was like watching, saw the ball come in, I thought I'd clear down, and it just came bounced off the defender and like cannoned back in. I was like, sometimes you need luck to sort of,
That's true.
perhaps not just kickstart a win, but kickstart potentially the season. I mean, perhaps don't overplay how big of a win this could be, but those are the sort of moments of luck which haven't really. Actually, they have. I mean, they've had a couple of very big lucky moments this year, but I think maybe that could be the lucky moment that could, really push them on and actually give them the belief that, that that their effort is actually going to pay off. And then we saw with the second goal as well, was Mikel had the shot. It was a fortunate deflection, but again, it's just at some point things are going to fall right for you, and that's why I think Jim has sort of mentioned, things aren't clicking, the players aren't feeling confident, and sometimes when things aren't going your way, and hopefully this could be the thing that kickstarts, two fortunate goals.
Mm-hmm.
The confidence, the confidence starting to pick up. We sort of saw the play. I mean, that the Carranza ball across the face of the goal for the Mikel Uar's hat trick in the fourth goal. The Union probably wouldn't have done that 2 or 3 weeks ago. Do you know what I mean? Even as I sort of alluded to beforehand, Harriel's cross for the Gazdag goal that it was obviously offside. Again, we wouldn't have seen that. We wouldn't have seen the attacking run towards the front post. We wouldn't have seen the attempt to play the cross. So again, it's good to see that the players are perhaps starting to trust each other a bit more. They're starting to show a bit more faith in themselves, and hopefully, with an important stretch coming up, we've got the 2 LAFC games, the Red Bulls coming up. I mean, it's good to hope, it's a building block. The final half an hour in Chicago and the game on Saturday night, it's a building block that hopefully they can carry on building upon. The scoring goals. So yeah.
Nice. And Jose, besides Ua obviously having the big outing there, who was your other man of the match, or somebody else you looked at had a great performance on Saturday night?
I always go to this guy, and it's gonna sound boring if not a broken record, but Julian Carranza was just out there motoring all 90 minutes that all the minutes that he played. I can't even recall if he came off or not. I don't think he did. I think he played the full 90.
Yeah.
But the man was just working. And again, I go back to that example of just bothering Sean Johnson, when in reality that tends to be a routine play, right, Dave? Like typically that ball usually just falls into the hands, or if there's any type of touch whatsoever on a goalkeeper or even remotely close, that usually gets called in favor of the keeper.
Yeah.
But for Carranza to go ahead and be bold and go for it and not stop when Sean Johnson undoubtedly shouted his brains out and carry on the play, to me was impressive. Usually players are so wired at this point that they hear a shout and they think, all right, play's going to be dead. I might as well get in front of the ball and start walking backwards. But I thought Julian had a great game. And I think where we were really fortunate last year with Corey Burke and Mikel Ua and Julian Carranza and some other players coming in, Gazdag scoring his many goals last year, was that they were taking turns, rotating in terms of scoring, thus allowing us to not have all of them hot, but rather have hot players throughout the entire season leading into the playoffs. So I'm happy to see that some of them are picking up their confidence. And to Dave's point, sometimes it just takes a sloppy game. Mikel Ua gets this ball at the end of the match on Saturday, signed by all of his teammates. He got his hat trick. Maybe this is the confidence booster that he needs going into LAFC for, I think, what we will need is at least 2 going into LA. I am being probably generous, but
go ahead, Jose. Finish.
No, I mean honestly, to finally see Mikel Ua play his best soccer, or best 60 minutes on Saturday was incredible, especially that blind. And Dave, I know you're a tactician, and Mike, I know you are too, but Dave, hear me out here. To see Mikel Ua finally do a run behind of someone's shoulder on a through pass and then go ahead and score was just what we've been waiting for. That's all the stupid hype videos I saw on YouTube for him and Bromby, and finally he does it here. It's great. It's great. We're going into Wednesday with a lot of excitement.
That's what I mean.
Go ahead.
So I was going to say, sort of picking up on that, I mean, there's been instances this year where Mikel has been playing on the last man, and sometimes again, as I've said constantly, it's players when they're going in that position, and instead of getting your head up and looking, and you see Mikel's actually playing on the last man, you can play the ball through. They're either carry on with the run, or they're playing, they're keeping their head down and playing the ball 3 seconds too late, or. Do you know what I mean? Everything was just like the perfect combo. Everyone was ticking on time, getting their heads up, looking around, and then again, I think we saw it perhaps 2 weeks ago, Gazdag doesn't even play that pass. He tries to run 20 yards before making the pass. And I think that's the thing, is that they took the opportunities when they were there, and they saw the openings. They made something happen from those openings and create the chances. And it was great to see everyone ticking. And sort of, as I said, it was great to actually see, Mikel actually score a goal in the way that we have been excited. We wanted to see him score a goal, which was, playing on the last man, keeping the defense stretched, opposing defense is stretched, and going through and goal and scoring. He showed great composure, and scored first time, like a former Union striker did last night, who got very, very lucky to score.
Dave, I was going to just mention that, Kasper Shabilko, for those who didn't see, he had basically the same exact opportunity as Michael had, but he stutter-stepped and shimmied and basically kicked it right at the keeper, and then fortunately got the goal after, his team had recovered the rebound. But you compared those two instances, and Michael just looked so much more confident on the ball. He finished with much more confidence with his left foot. And you realize that, wow, that's why we paid for Ua, and that's why we got rid of Shabilko when we did, a year and a half ago. But, I mean, to your points, guys, it's what we've seen prior to, I want to say, the Atlas match. was, as your point, Dave, uncertainty, lack of confidence, head down when they're playing. But now we've seen Carranza get involved. He scored, what, 3 goals in the last 4 games. And even though he didn't score against Toronto, he was still very much involved. To your point, Jose, he ran after the ball against Sean Johnson, and he also created the cross that led to the UA's first goal. So a lot of him creating the opportunities. Gazdag obviously getting more involved, not just from taking PKs, but now creating assists. Even if you want to look at the was it the third goal from Mua, Gazdag takes the recovery from McGlynn, feeds Karans, and kind of sets up the goal there. So they're all three of them now are getting involved in different ways. If you want to look at the Chicago match, you had Michael Ua creating the pressure, which led to the out of bounds pass from Jose to Ua to get the penalty there. So it's all connected. All these three players gelling at the same time, playing well at the same time. It's very exciting to see. And Jose, to your point, I don't know what's good enough against LA. I don't, and
Five
it's
nothing would be great.
you know, it's funny. I thought 5-0 the day. That'd be the perfect way to end the night there. But I mean, what we saw on Saturday also was that killer instinct. As soon as these players smelled blood in the water, they kept going after it and after it, and they created their own luck. And that's the union that we saw 2022, even parts of 2021. We saw that killer instinct, which we've been missing all season. So I'm excited that they're getting their vibe at the right time. Now, Jose, you said you watched some of the LA match, or you saw the against Nashville, right?
I watched some of it. I must admit, I started dozing on and off as I was trying to restart the match after ours ended, or I think I tuned in a little late while I was waiting for the presser to start, which, as I mentioned, he's so bummed that the away team always starts or tends to start the press conferences. My gosh, I just want to get done with Jim and move on. But I, an okay, or if not good, Nashville team took LAFC to the wire. It took a
Yeah.
59th minute goal by their leading scorer, who I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. I have no idea how to pronounce it, but went ahead and gave him a tie. And we're talking about a team that's pretty deep, albeit a team that brought in Carlos Vela at the end of the match. So LAFC probably use more tools than they intended going into Nashville, which gives me hope. Never mind backtrack 1 week earlier, and you also had an LAFC team that struggled against a I want to say down and riddled with a lot of controversy LA Galaxy team right now, only 1-1. So I don't know that LAFC is in the hottest of form going into our match into Subaru Park, but I implore everybody and anybody who's listening, watching, whether today, right now, or tomorrow morning, going into the evening, or even Wednesday on your drive to work, go to the game if you can. We're gonna need
Mhm.
everything and everyone. It's gotta be loud. It's gotta be fun, and
Well,
we're gonna need it.
not that loud because no megaphones are allowed. Dave, I know Dave, you're disappointed by the no megaphones at the stands. I know that's something that you just love every time you watch the games. But listen, I hope that there's a big turnout. I thought the turnout against Atlas was decent. I mean, Jose maybe thought 80% filled stadium that night. What do you think?
About that, but you also got
About
to
that
remember it was it a Tuesday against a relatively unknown Mexican
Mexican
team
team. Yeah.
to most American and season ticket holders, or really Americans. Like, probably have to look up who the hell Atlas was and where it was.
Yeah.
To most of them, probably they thought it was like some Salvadorian team or something, when in reality they're a renowned Mexican team. So, interestingly enough, I think that the whole idea of LAFC coming into town and the narrative behind the most watched MLS final ever being potentially on tap for Wednesday night at 9 p.m. CONCACAF After Dark, I think it's really appealing to folks. Though I haven't done, and I'm not going to be completely honest with you, I haven't looked around the website for how many seats are available just yet. I'm sure that the sponsored ticket dumps are happening today, if not tomorrow, for those sponsors that don't want their tickets.
Mhm.
But weather looks great. A light shower at 5 p.m. was last I saw for Wednesday.
Lovely.
And then we go into a dry spell from probably 6 to, I don't know, 11:30 midnight. So it's going to be nice and dry, 65 degrees on a Wednesday, watching MLS Philadelphia Union Soccer against the LAFC. Dude, I cannot be asking for much better than that.
No, and it seems like these teams. I mean, if you asked us this question a month ago, and Dave, I know you and I joked about this recently in the last episode as well. LAFC comes to town. What's a score? Oh, well, the Union will be lucky if they don't give up 3 to 4 goals. And now suddenly these teams are shifting slightly in the different directions. The Union are finally getting together. They're showing a lot of fight, right? If anything, they're showing a lot of intensity. They're showing a lot of competitiveness. They're finally getting that dog in them, as we've been wanting to see. And LA, to your point, Jose, they may have struggled against the Galaxy. They played a lot of people or a lot of hard fought minutes against Nashville. So, is there more sense of optimism from you, Dave, now that you've seen these last couple of games from the Union? Or do you still expect the
Um,
LA to kick our ass?
I think. I mean, again, I think it's obviously massive, to actually see the Union turn up. I think obviously after 59 minutes of that Chicago game, I really was fearing the worst. I thought, Christ, if they can't get out, if they can barely get out of first gear against this lot, how are they going to do against that star-studded team that hasn't lost? I mean, to be fair, that's the one thing I think everyone's obviously critical of LAFC at the moment, saying, "Oh, perhaps they're not in the best of form." But the biggest, if you're not gonna win a game, don't lose,
Mhm.
draw, and they've done that this season. They're beaten in all competitions. I think they've won. Have they won all their CCL games? I don't want to.
I thought so.
Thought so.
I think one or at the one or tied. They've had a obviously. I think I would argue that we've had the easiest route to where we are
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But LAFC probably. I don't think that they've had a defeat even in that tournament.
Oh no, they did. They lost the second leg at home
Did
to
they? Oh, that's right.
Ala Juarense.
Dave,
That
take a
was
seat.
close.
Take a
That was
seat.
good. I was very impressed with that, Dave. But go ahead.
There we go. There you go. Pronunciation lessons, guys. If you need it, just text me. But no. Again, that performance is just it's a building block, and it gives people hope, and it should give them hope. It should give the players optimism to believe that they can be in with a shout of. And I think the most important thing is just if they're not going, do not concede. If you're going to win, do not concede. I think a 1-0 win again will be sufficient to take the LAFC. If you win by a couple of goals to nil, it'll be massive. But I feel like if you are going to concede a goal, they have to win by 2 goals. You need that 2-goal cushion.
Yeah.
That you can afford to concede a goal and get away with it. Whereas if you only 2-1 up after that first leg, especially with the away goals rules, it really just set up a LAFC to score and sit back for 90 for the rest of the game and just try and catch the Union out on the counter attack. As we've seen, and Jose, you're obviously a big fan of like English European football, as you've probably seen countless times in the Champions League when the away goal counted. The team that lost 2-1 in the away leg went 1 up at home, and they just sat deep and
Yep.
let the other team try and attack them, and then just pick them apart piece by piece on the counter attack. That's the one thing that you want to avoid. They need to win, and if they can just not concede, that'd be perfect. It'd be the dream, to take into LA, where there's certainly going to be a few sort of bodies that they'll want to make up for.
Well, speaking of, I guess, bodies, right? We were talking about the attendance on Wednesday night. Valerie, thank you for joining us this Monday. It's nice to see
Thank
you
you, Val.
back in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
So she mentions the availability right now in the stadium. There's a couple sold out sections as well as low availability across. So maybe, Jose, we will have a sold out crowd, or at least close to it. That'd be nice. So again, thank you, Val, for that. Listen, I worry that he plays. Well, I guess let's talk about the lineup. Let's talk about the lineup now, because at this point, we've seen what we saw on Saturday. We thought it was going to be a much different lineup. Based off the substitutions and everything, I don't see Jim swaying away from the starters that we saw on Saturday. I do expect everybody in the lineup. The question for me is obviously, is Olivier good enough
Yep.
to go? And he has to be, in my opinion, because of what we mentioned about Nathan. But the second thing is, if Leon Flock is up to play, does he get the minutes, or does Jack McGlynn make the start, Jose?
No, I think Jack goes ahead. I think honestly, I'm looking at my keyboard here. I think you're really going to see a Command C, Command V type of operation here, where you're going to see a copy and paste lineup, right? And unfortunately, that also includes. And again, Nate Harriel, happy birthday! I think you're like 18, 19. Make me question what I've done with my life so far.
22.
But 22. Jesus, 22.
Close
All right.
though, Jose.
It's still a child.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I don't know that into the biggest game of the season at home when we're supposed to have the advantage with close to 18,000 if we pack the stadium, 18, 19,000 loud cheering for the Union. I don't know that we take any chances with somebody having a bum hip like Leon Flock, or a hamstring issue with Olivia Mbizo, as we found out on the press conference on Saturday evening. So I think what we saw on Saturday is what we're going to get on Wednesday. So no changes there. I hope that it works out. I'm just really hoping it goes well.
Yeah, I mean, if Nathan does play, I am concerned with how hard they attack him. The same thing can be said with McGlynn. How much pressure they put on the left side. Also, even though Kai looked a lot better, I mean, that's also one thing we didn't talk about. Kai Wagner started against Toronto, and he actually had a breakaway with, I think, what was it, Daniel, or was it Carranza? It was him and Carranza, 2v1, and instead of shooting with the left, he ended up passing the ball. But his hamstring looked good. He looked back to his normal Kai Wagner self. So do they try to push him and see how his legs are and how sturdy they are? So it's concerning when there's some question marks on the health of these players rather than just their overall capabilities. But Dave, do you agree with Jose? Same copy and paste lineup, or do you
Um,
throw someone else out there?
I think so. Yeah, I think when you win that emphatically, you shouldn't change the lineup. But I think, especially considering you're at home, would be considered the time that Union would want to go for it and try and attack the game and try and take control of the fixture. So I think obviously having Jack McGlynn in there will give you more going forward. Especially with the way that the Union would like to play. I presume that they will try and concede possession to LAFC and try and catch them on the break. And again, someone like McGlynn who can try and pick out those passes, try and get those balls over the top, and trying to spread the game is they'll probably need that, I think. But just going to the Nate Harrier point, obviously the biggest game of the season. He did play. He did start in the 2-2 draw in the league last year
Sure.
against LAFC, and obviously Ali Bedoya played in the right along in front of him. And what I think we alluded to at the time of the game which was very noticeable, was the way that the two of them sort of both doubled up on Carlos Vela,
Yeah.
and they both sort of were there with the entire intent just to completely shut Vela down. To be fair to them, they did that. I think Carlos Vela literally was a ghost in that game and didn't contribute. So I think that I'm assuming that might be a similar game plan for Jim on Wednesday night. And I think, but for me, if you're going to start Leon, I'd start him in the reverse. I'd start him in the away leg.
Yeah.
If you have got a lead to hold on to, or if you've got something to hold on to, I would start Leon now. Obviously, if it's a score draw, or LAFC are coming in with the lead, then obviously you're going to have to be a bit more aggressive. So I mean, if you've got something, I'd start Leon in the reverse leg.
Question for you guys, and maybe this is a Val fact check, or if you two remember, or really anybody listening, I go to Val all the time. But did Jack McGlynn start MLS final last year?
Yeah. Remember, because
Yes, I believe
his
so.
header deflected the ball into the goal.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So this guy has gone through the ringer, right? That's a lot of pressure. MLS final at his age, and playing the entire game, if not most of it. Yeah, I was just wondering about that myself, and again, I always go back to our group chat during that evening, and like, man, the differences in approach when Gareth Bale subs in, and who do we put in? Right,
Chris Donovan.
Chris Donovan. And so yeah, no, I was wondering about Jack, and yeah, I agree with Dave, and that we just need that cushion, even if it's 1 or 2 goals, and just soak in a lot of pressure, albeit probably entirely too much pressure to soak in going into the away leg with one. And that's where players like Flock, hopefully healthy, are able to just absorb, and it looks more like a Andre Blake and a 5 and a 6, straight across, that just soak it in. But Mike, I'd love to hear your thought and about this, and how big does Jose Martinez have to be on Wednesday,
I mean,
right?
well,
And
you went right into my point right
yeah,
there with Jose Martinez. Let's talk about Jack Elliott. If there was ever somebody who had a chip on their shoulder against LAFC, it'd be Jack Elliott. because first of all, he scores the game winning goal at the time, right?
On
And then
him.
yeah, and then Bale goes over him to score the goal that leads us into PKs. I mean, we talked about Jacob Glessens all year. How good has Glessens been? He's been unbelievable. He's been living up to that Defender of the Year um, title that he earned last year. Jack Elliott has been solid, but I don't think he's been playing as well as Glessens has. If
No.
there was ever a game where Elliott had to have the game of his life, it would be on Wednesday night. And at the same time, Martinez, you're right, absolutely. The three of them together have to be on the same page. They have to be. Jose cannot be careless with the ball. Jack Elliott needs to make sure that his passes are good, feeding out from the back. Because we've seen a couple times this year where Jack's passes have been, from the back. He's had a couple turnovers over the past couple games, so I think also even McGlynn. Listen, that free kick from Acosta does come off McGlynn's head that he turns to kind of ricochet into the
Yep.
net. So
Yep. Yep.
if there
Yep.
was ever
Cardinal
people
sin there.
a cardinal sin exactly. So there was ever people who had a redemption match in them. It would be both Jacks, Elliott, and McGlynn. And Jose Martinez, he's going to be up for this game. But to be honest with you, what I'm concerned about more than anything is that they play scared. They're so afraid to give up that away goal that they don't go for it when they should go for it. They don't have that same fight to them. And I'm worried that it comes down to the same thing what we saw against Atlas, Jose, where we need to basically have something fortunate happen to us to even get a win at home against a team that we should have probably scored 1 or 2 goals on. So I worry about their confidence, but the lineup that you guys have mentioned, I do think it's correct. I think you have to go with the same lineup unless Olivier Mambizo is completely healthy and he's 100% ready to go. I think you have to try Nathan. And to Dave's point, it worked last year, or against Vela. Let's see if it can go again. Let's see if Bedoya has one more. And also, but look, Alejandro Bedoya didn't even play in the MLS Cup. It's
Nope.
one thing that people forget is that he played in the Eastern Conference Final. He did not play in the MLS Cup.
Hardly played in the MLS Eastern Conference Final, but
That's
yes.
true. Yeah, no, it's if for him, and if anything, it's his chance at revenge to even just show that he did belong in that game, that he can compete at this high level. So there's a good storyline for all these players. Even Gazdag, right? He slips in the PK, and that.
Oh my God, yes.
I remember watching that with Kyle Wood and Mike Borton and all these fellow Uni fans, and you see Blake save that goal. You're like, oh my God, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. And Daniel comes up. They're gonna do this, and then he slips, and you're like, no, it's not gonna. And
yeah,
go ahead.
I have a question for you guys. Do you think and Mike, maybe you get your phone here. I'm not. I don't. I have the self control to not have it. Not that you don't, but I don't have any betting apps or anything on my phone. But is this where the streak of red cards end in favor of the Union in the CONCACAF Champions League? Because we've had 3 games in a row where a red card was assisting us in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alianza, the second game of Alianza, and then the 2 Atlas games, right? Red cards were shown.
Yeah, I'm afraid that Jose gets a red card. To be honest with you.
Oh wow, yeah. No, what I'm intrigued at, Mike. What's the betting line on anytime red card for anybody?
Listen, if you guys talk about something for the next 2 minutes, I'll tell you right now. So, Dave, what are your thoughts as I look up this betting app?
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. Again, look, in terms of the red card streak, I think the two teams would probably be a bit more well tempered in terms of what of how they will behave in the game. I think both teams have a better idea of what is at stake. I think obviously with that list we saw the second leg was a bit more of a meltdown more than anything, as opposed to probably more frustration at the fact that they were going to be heading out of the competition. Obviously, you can score 2 goals late on. Because I think the guy obviously got the 1 yellow card for dissent, and then literally got the second yellow card for absence for the dissent.
Within 15 seconds.
Yeah, I honestly do not see there being a chance of an LAFC player doing that in the game.
No.
I think as Mike said, probably the one player you're most worried about with a red card is Jose Martinez. But I think Jose has shown good temperament this year. He hasn't, he hasn't got too much trouble, which is I think is always a positive.
I would argue that he has had a temper, but he has been lucky to get away with it because he's usually one of the first ones to get in front of that of the referee's face. But Mike, tell us.
Well, congratulations to Jose. First of all, he's a father now. Jose Martinez is a dad.
I was
He
gonna
had a
say I've been a father twice over now.
he had a boy. He had I believe, a boy last week. So maybe you know what?
Yes.
Maybe that new child in your life will kind of push him to an excellent performance. I mean, listen, we joked about this before the year started. We say who's the more valuable player to the Union? Is it going to be Kai Wagner or is it going to be Jose Martinez? And all of us collectively said Kai Wagner was the most important person on the Union squad that between the two of them. And to Matt Real's credit, he did do a pretty solid job to hold on the left side, but we saw what happened when Brujo was out and Leon Flock was in the six.
Yep.
So maybe I'm a little bit swaying towards Martinez a bit because I thought he's played well all year. He really has. He's to your points. He's been more even keel. He hasn't been too crazy. Um, he ends up having the cross that leads to the UA goal, if I remember correctly. On Saturday, the beautiful cross from him. So, listen, Jose Martinez is the best six in the league. We know that if he plays as well as he can take over a game. And then that makes the three in that center, Jose, Jack, and Jacob, that much more dangerous, right? But yes, I've opened up FanDuel, so please give me one sec. And then, Val just said, more than once this year, Martinez has gotten angry but kept his fury in check, which I think is spot on there. So, betting lines for LAFC versus Union on Wednesday night. Philly is a favorite, plus 105.
Oh
The away,
no.
I'm shocked they're favorites. LAFC is plus 210. So you said the red card totals, right? There is
Eh,
none so far.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine. Dave's right. I can't imagine that any red cards get shown if you're I don't know, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the first 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes are going to be very indicative of what this tie is going to be like. If it's going to come out, if they come out fast, which I think it will be, it's going to be telling if you have a, you know, Ale Bedoya tackle like he had on Atlas and an Atlas player early on, that's going to be very telling too.
Yeah.
I'm also intrigued to see how, again, Elliot with that chip on his shoulder from I will never put it on him, but getting scored on, dunked on, posterized by Gareth Bale,
Yeah.
it cannot
Yeah.
feel great. It has this has redemption etched all over it. It's just whether they can do it or not.
Yeah.
That's the true question.
So, in terms of it's what the scary thing with me, what you said about the first 20 minutes is how poorly the Union have played this year in the first half. That freaks me out more than anything because if you're saying these first 20, 30 minutes are going to be intense, in your face, and LAFC is probably going to try to drive it down our throats within that first 20 minutes, then I'm petrified going into that first half because the Union just have not played well in the first half. They've been very good in the second half, for the most part. They just haven't been able to start games the right way. So it's really just the energy level has to be high. I guess if you want to look at the goal score, since we don't have a game on Saturday, maybe I can whip together a bet the boys in blue very quickly before Wednesday's game. So, guys, I'll give you some goal scorers here. We can throw together some predictions to end the show. The top anytime goal scorer for Wednesday night is, of course, Carlos Vela at plus 145. Dennis Buanga is plus 150. And then Gazdogs at plus 155. Uaz 165. And Carranza 180. So, Dave, I'll go to you first. Score prediction, goal score prediction, or any other bet the boys in blue prediction we have for Wednesday night.
So I'm gonna go 2-1 to the Union. I'm gonna go OR and Glaznes to score and Pawanga to score for LAFC. And because we've absolutely jinxed it, there'll be a red card. I think obviously
Against who?
I'm not sure if there'll be a market to bet on who will get a red card, but I think there will be a red card. Obviously, who knows? I mean, the way that we obviously said that both teams would be trying to be composed and calm, I'm sure there'll be a massive fighting brawl that result in like 3 red cards to both teams. Now we said that.
Jim Curtin, right?
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, also, after his antics in Chicago,
Oh
caused
Lord.
quite a stir. No, yeah, I'm gonna go 2-1 to the Union. McCann and Glaznes to score and Boanga to score for LAFC.
Which, of course, 2-1 really means 2-2. going back to LA with the away goals being counted. So that's not what we want to hear, but I
No.
kind of agree with you 100% there as well. Jose, how about you? What's your score and goals?
I don't think it will be enough. I really don't. I think it'll be a 1-0 win for the Philadelphia Union. Julian Carranza will show up and have a nice little touch inside the six from a low and hard cross from probably Jack McGlynn. Somehow it'll just squeak over all the way to his side. Um, but unfortunately, that won't be enough, and we can talk about the second leg another day, or maybe obviously after this match, especially with us not having anything on the weekend. But yeah, 1-0.
What
Unfortunately, doesn't feel like it's going to be enough.
1-0 LA, you're saying, or 1-0 Union?
1-0 Union. Carranza scoring.
Okay, got you. You said it. Okay. I am more optimistic. Maybe I want to talk myself into the optimism. I do. I think the Union have, despite their little ups and downs recently, I do think that their form and their intensity is coming back. And listen, I expected this team to be great from the start of the year. I do think this team can still be great despite some of their early miscues that we've seen. But again, the CCL does have some sort of issue, contribution to that. But I saw on Saturday rather something I haven't seen in a long time, and I think if anything, the confidence is at the highest point of the season right now. Right, you go down to Mexico, you play your hearts out, you come back against Chicago, beat the shit out of Toronto. Your confidence has to be here, and as long as they go for it, and as long as they play well, I do think they can shut them out. I think it's going to be 2-0. I'm doing it. I'm going for it. I think it's going to be a very, very
Oh.
happy Wednesday night. I think Ua scores, and I think Jack Elliott puts a header in.
Mike,
I haven't drank anything tonight. Hey, just so you know.
which Elliott jersey are you wearing to the game?
Oh God.
One
Do
T
I?
or two T's?
Well, I wore the two T's when they beat Atlas, so I feel like I should wear that again.
Is it easy for it to come off? Because by your prediction, the tarp's coming off twice.
I don't know. Now don't make me. Now you make me overthink this
Ah!
because now I don't want to wear the T-less Elliot. I feel like now I have to, right?
Well, let me ask you this question to you guys, and I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but I'm really intrigued about this, and it doesn't apply to this match specifically, but the away leg in LA,
Yeah.
say that we pull off the heist. I'll call it the heist, honestly. As sad as it sounds, a heist for us to win by 2, even 3 at home feels like a heist to me.
Yeah.
Do we see Elliott taking a seat and Damian Lowe getting some time? Because I think he is a massive man, especially when you're going to have an LAFC team that's going to be very desperate to do some damage.
The only way I see that happen is if it's 3 in the back. I don't see Elliott being taken off, not for a game this big. I don't think he deserves it, frankly. I think Elliott's been too good over the past couple of years to take him out. I mean, Dave, I don't know, you could agree or disagree there, but
No, I think I'll agree. I think again you go with your best team, you go with your strongest lineup, and again, I know obviously people moan about the schedule and things like that. But I mean, no disrespect at the top level. If you can't afford, if you're not, you see it every week. If you're not fit enough to play Saturday, Wednesday, then what are you doing at the level your top level athlete? You should be able to do. You should be able to do that in today's game. If players at a lower level can afford to do that with less, with facilities that aren't as good, you should be able to do it as well. So I think there is no excuse to not change the lineup after that massive win.
I got
although
a message.
go ahead. No, I was gonna say I do want to see Lowe, but I don't think it's time right now. But go ahead.
Just wanted whether I got a message on Twitter from somebody who's watching or listening or whatever, asking for it to be a blue out. I'm not even worried about it. Just show up to the stadium, wear whatever color you want, just not black or gold.
Or
just
red.
be there, be loud, or red. Be there, be loud. Join in, megaphone or no megaphone. Sing your heart out. Just be present. Put that damn phone down and just watch the game. Which also kind of leads to the next point, Mike. Myself, you will be there. Dave, I think will you be covering the game, Dave? I can't remember. No,
I am working, so I'll be
Yeah, so Dave will be busy, so no coverage from us that evening, outside of maybe some pictures posted on social media. But we really hope that everybody tunes in, or if you're able
Oh
to
yeah.
make it to the game, show up, buy a cheap ticket or buy a ticket full price, doesn't matter. Just be there if you can.
Exactly. It's gonna be a fun time. Like I said, Jose and I will be in 140. I know my buddy Mike and Jay will be probably in 132 around there. They'll be on the other side of, of the river end. So I should do my rounds. Eric, if you chime in to this show down the road, I'll see you, buddy, on Wednesday night. Listen, it's gonna be a fun time. I know a lot of people are gonna be going. Like I said, I'll be there somewhat early to tailgate and to drink. I won't be in the press box. I can be just having a good time
You'll be
and
with the
not
people. You're not
be with the
with the
people.
bourgeois up
No,
there.
I'll be with
Getting
the.
your food catered and
I
parking
might
fast.
sneak a free meal. Who knows? We'll see what
Oh
happens.
my
No,
lord!
I do want to say hi to Skylar Hoffner and Todd Lewis, my boys up there. They're good guys, good content creators. So I might stop by to say hi and then come back down to the people, Jose. So you listen. I got to do my rounds too. I got to say hi to. I'm a
You do
man of the
you,
people. A
Mike.
man of the
You
people.
you do you, Mike. I will be with all the people that matter, which is the other 18,000 people that don't sit in a heated press box, game in and game out. All
There you
right.
go. Look,
Uh,
Brian East, be there, be present. 140 tarp. So that's what I fucking
That's
like
my
to
wife's
see. Here we
cousin.
go. Here we go. All right, guys. That wraps up our show. I got to do our sponsors. I'll do that real quick, and then we'll do our final thoughts here. I like ending with a final thought. I feel like it's been a new little segment that we've accidentally put into. I like it. Here we go. Check out Statement Games at statementgames.com for a funny way to fantasy sports entertainment. Win gift cards and prizes. Free to sign up at statementgames.com. Dome Distiller, the Charlie Barn Public Market in Quakertown. Go to domedistiller.com to check out their wide variety of drinks and spirits. You have Vinny's Pizza and Restaurant in Allentown, PA. Discover a new favorite by trying their top pizzas and so much more. Check out their new website at vinnyspizzarestaurant.com. South to the Grills at 6750 Iroquois Trail number 5 in Allentown, PA, right next to Vinny's or at southtothegrills.com. They have homemade hot and cold sandwiches, salads, appetizers, baked goods available for any event. And lastly, get the cross pitch gear and all the AAT Sports Network gear at aatsportsnetwork.com/shop. I'll put another comment here. Val, is my fact check in the mail? Jose, that's on you. You decide to pay her for her fact check, and that's your responsibility there.
Oh, Val, stop by 140, B VIP or B lot, whatever. We can
Val
arrange something.
Val will not be there, but
That's right.
I have been in touch with her recently, and I hope that she will be there soon. And we'll celebrate and have a drink and be merry. But Dave, final thoughts, sir, from England.
um, I think the also I'll be watching, sort of half watching the game at work, so I've like the YouTube commentary on, like in my headphones as I'm working. Uh, yeah, it's gonna be a big game again. Hopefully, the atmosphere is good. It's rocking. That hopefully that can help set the tone for the game. I think it needs to be hostile. It needs perhaps help the Union play on the front foot and be more aggressive. Obviously, we saw it in Atlas. Jose, you mentioned it earlier, but the Andy Bedoya, crunching tackle in the first minute to try and set the tempo and show we're not afraid. There needs to be a similar sort of mentality or similar sort of that something similar needs to happen in that game. Obviously, don't get sent off, but like okay earlier car, but just set the tempo early, going with the crunching tackle, let them know you're there, and try and make it help, not just on the pitch, off the pitch, and fingers crossed, the Union can come out with a win, a clean sheet, and something that we can all look forward to in LA next week.
Jose, final thought.
Honestly, just everything Dave said. I do want to give a shout out to, I consider him my cousin, my wife's cousin, Bryant. He has been to a few Union games. He's bought in. He's fully into it, watches every single game, every single weekend, showed up to the playoffs last year, was there for the home opener. He will be there on Wednesday.
Hell
But
yeah.
where I give him so much credit is he's driving all the way from past Harrisburg, probably closer to the Maryland border than anything, out in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. So
Oh, Chambersburg. That's a
he
hike.
is, yeah, it's a hike. So I give him so much credit. I appreciate him. I love him. I'm so excited that he's coming. And honestly, what's even more encouraging is that he's gotten his wife and son Camden into it as well. So it's so sweet to see how the success of last year and probably success of 2021 has sort of bled into 2023. And
Yeah.
I think the game this past weekend was really, again, another vote of confidence that this team can do it. It just needs to turn it on. And what better day than Wednesday for it to really get turned on against LAFC, our bitter rivals more than anything over the last couple of years, let alone last year. So
Yeah.
excited to be with all of you, you specifically, Mike, everybody listening. I know some of the folks going with me are also listening and watching, but we'll make some memories and we'll see what happens. Hopefully a lead going into LAFC, but for now, let's just enjoy Wednesday as best as we can. Who knows how long till we get into another semifinal for the CCL.
Absolutely. So my final thought for one, Dave, I'm glad I finally got your hometown club shirt.
Yeah.
I ordered in the mail about 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I'm just gonna wear it and see if he notices it. So I saw your
Hell
face,
yeah.
like looking, like, wait, is he wearing that?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hell yeah.
it's very comfortable, I should say. So it must be that English cotton. I don't know. So final thought, before the MLS Cup, I was on the phone with my friend, maybe a couple days beforehand, and I said, I'm mentally preparing myself to either be the happiest I've been since the birth of my child or absolutely devastated. There's no in between, right? That was like the emotional plateau, like roller coaster I expected to be on. That's kind of how I'm entering Wednesday, because it's a huge match. Listen, Jose, if you come out of that with a 2-0, 3-0 win, and you take one in LA or you draw in LA, to think that we could be playing for the CCL final, it's just unbelievable. So
Dude, if that happens, I think I'm shutting off MLS the rest of the time between the second match of the semifinal and the final. I'm just, dude, I am not. I'll watch, but I can't imagine my brain will be super tuned in onto what
yeah,
happens, whatever those 2-3 games in between. I will just be laser focused on what the hell is going on with the. I guess at this point it's a all
Leon.
Mexican side on the other side of the bracket, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's Tigres and I think Leon, right?
Yeah, I'll be watching the hell out of those Mexican teams over the next couple of days. But of course, we need to take care of business.
Of course. So, but again, just how I'm approaching Wednesday. Listen, man, I'm ready to party. Tell you what, you saw me at like a 7 on last 2 Wednesdays ago. I can get to a 10 if I need to get to a 10. So
Damn.
be ready.
Wow.
Be
Well, you
ready.
know what? Dylan and Bry, who are listening, know how to turn it up. So they better fucking see you do it, Mike. Sorry, I don't know if we're explicit or not. They better see you do it.
We're doing it. I'm telling you, we're doing it. I'm going to be hurting that night from my
Ah!
Anyway, guys, that is across the pitch. Thank you again for joining us. For any new listeners, thank you, Val. I appreciate you chiming in again. One of our faithful commenters and friends. But again, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. FS1. I believe we'll host a match. There is no game on Saturday. We get a break, and then Tuesday night. The next Tuesday night is the following leg of the CCL in LA. But otherwise, happy Monday. Have a good week, guys. Go Union.
Go Union.
Let's go. Wednesday can't come fast enough.